In the shadowy corridors of France's most notorious prisons during the reign of Louis XIV, a mysterious figure was held in utter secrecy. His face was hidden behind a mask, his name struck from the record, and his story buried beneath layers of royal intrigue. Centuries later, the identity of the so-called Man in the Iron Mask remains one of history's most tantalizing unsolved mysteries. Despite the passage of more than 300 years, the tale of this masked prisoner continues to fascinate writers, historians, and conspiracy theorists alike. Let's take a deep dive into this historical enigma, the theories, the suspects, and the legacy of France's most anonymous inmate, a prisoner without a name. The first record of the masked prisoner appears in 1669, during the height of Louis XIV's reign, a time when France was basking in absolute monarchy. This unidentified man was arrested under suspicious circumstances, and from that moment on, his life was cloaked in extraordinary secrecy. Rather than being treated like an ordinary inmate, he was subjected to unique restrictions. Guards were ordered to severely limit his interaction with others. He was transferred between multiple prison fortresses, including the infamous Bastille and the remote island prison of Sainte Marguerite. Wherever he went, extreme precautions were taken to ensure his face remained hidden. The story eventually became so legendary that people believed the mask was not just fabric but iron. Though popularized in myth as a literal iron mask, contemporary accounts suggest he likely wore a mask made of black velvet. Still, the image of a man locked away behind cold, unforgiving metal captured the public's imagination. Over time, it became symbolic of the lengths monarchs would go to protect their secrets, a mystery that inspired legends. The enigma took on a new life thanks to the writings of Voltaire, who claimed to have heard the tale while imprisoned in the Bastille himself. He described the man as noble-born and hinted that his incarceration was the result of a scandal that touched the throne itself. But it was Alexandre Dumas, the author of The Three Musketeers, who truly immortalized the Man in the Iron Mask in his novel, The Vicomte de Bragelonne. Dumas spun a gripping tale in which the prisoner is revealed to be the identical twin of King Louis XIV, locked away to prevent a power struggle. Although fictional, the story was so compelling that it shaped public imagination for generations. Who could he have been? With no official records confirming the true identity of the Man in the Iron Mask, historians and theorists have long speculated about who he really was. Among the many names proposed over the centuries, two figures consistently stand out: Ercole Mathiol and Eustache Jogger. Ercole Antonio Mathiol, an Italian count and diplomat, was once engaged in secret negotiations with Louis XIV over the acquisition of the strategic fortress of Cassel. However, when Mathiol betrayed the French king by leaking the plan to rival powers, his fate was sealed. In 1679, he was kidnapped by French agents and imprisoned under the name Marchioli, suspiciously similar to the name recorded on the masked man's burial. Even Louis XV and Louis XIV later believed the mysterious prisoner had been an Italian nobleman, adding credibility to Mathiol's connection. However, a major flaw in this theory remains. Mathiol is thought to have died in 1694, nearly a decade before the mask's documented death in 1703, unless, of course, that death was a ruse. Equally compelling is the case of Eustache Jogger, a shadowy figure whose name appears repeatedly in prison records from the same era. Arrested in 1669 under orders from a royal minister, Jogger was treated with unusual secrecy from the very beginning. Instructions were issued to keep him in strict isolation, and guards were told to kill him if he ever spoke of anything beyond his immediate needs. He was moved frequently between prisons and, in one instance, transported in a sealed chair so no one could see his face, details that eerily mirror those in the Iron Mask legend. While some historians believe Jogger was simply a valet caught up in a scandal, others suggest far more dramatic possibilities. Perhaps he was an illegitimate sibling of Louis XIV, or even a hidden twin. Though his exact identity remains unconfirmed, the secrecy surrounding Jogger and the parallels to the masked prisoner make him a leading suspect in this centuries-old mystery. Other wild theories. The lack of concrete evidence has given rise to more outlandish theories. One suggests the prisoner was Molière, the famous playwright who supposedly faked his death and was imprisoned to silence him. Others speculate he may have been a disgraced military officer, a cleric with damaging knowledge of the church, or a courtier entangled in a dangerous love affair. While most of these claims are based more on rumor than research, they speak to the power of the mystery and how it continues to inspire curiosity centuries later. Why was he imprisoned? Regardless of who the man in the iron mask truly was, the reason for his imprisonment remains just as elusive. The extreme measures taken to conceal his identity and isolate him from the world suggest his secret was of national importance. In monarchic France, where royal legitimacy was everything, any threat to the king's image or lineage could have been deemed dangerous enough to bury forever. Whether the prisoner was connected to a failed political deal, a royal scandal, or even a threat to the king's bloodline, it's clear that his very existence was considered too risky to reveal. Death and legacy. The enigmatic prisoner known as the Man in the Iron Mask died in 1703 and was quietly buried under the alias Marquioli in Paris's St. Paul Cemetery. To this day, his face was never publicly seen, and his true identity was never officially disclosed. Over the years, even his burial site and remains have vanished, erased by time, city expansion, and indifference. Despite this, the mystery surrounding him has endured for centuries, growing even more compelling with each retelling. His story has transcended history books, finding new life in plays, novels, films, and documentaries. From Enlightenment-era pamphlets to modern podcasts and YouTube theories, the tale continues to captivate the imagination of each new generation. The idea of a man so dangerous or so valuable that his face had to be hidden forever is too irresistible to ignore. Whether seen as a royal embarrassment, political pawn, or tragic unknown, he symbolizes the dark lengths absolute power can go to protect itself. His legacy, more myth than man, reminds us that some secrets are buried not for what they reveal but for what they threaten. The mask behind the myth. At its heart, the legend of the Man in the Iron Mask resonates because it speaks to something deeply human, our endless curiosity about hidden truths and lost identities. It's the kind of mystery that stirs our imagination, making us wonder what else history might be hiding just beneath the surface. Was he a nobleman who crossed the wrong people, a humble servant who heard something he should not have, or perhaps a royal sibling whose very existence posed a threat to the throne? Each theory opens a new door, and yet none provide a definitive answer. That ambiguity is part of the legend's enduring power. The absence of truth does not weaken the story, it strengthens it, inviting speculation and sparking creativity across generations. As long as questions remain, the mystery remains alive. The masked man may have been silenced in life, but in death, his story speaks louder than ever. If you enjoyed diving into this centuries-old mystery, don't forget to hit that like button. It really helps the channel. Subscribe for more untold stories, hidden history, and jaw-dropping legends from the past. Got a theory about the Man in the Iron Mask? Drop it in the comments. We love a good conspiracy. And hey, if history had you hooked today, imagine what's coming next week. Ring that notification bell so you never miss a twist in time.